I'm so glad that you all came today. I could just cry. We're both so excited to see the response and just to see your open hearts and all the texts that I've gotten about this event. It's just been really an honor to lead you all. Teresa is going to start us out with the training portion, and then I will go over the itinerary and some announcements, and then we'll get you out by probably 6:42 even, because the band needs to start practicing for youth group, and so I promise it won't be any later than 6:45. All right, so I'll give it to Teresa.
Well, I'm Teresa Mcveigh. I'm an autism consultant and special ed teacher. Been doing it for 32 years and love what I'm doing. So, and I'm so excited that this is happening. And thank you all for being here because it's going to be awesome. Before we get started, there's some things about the last meeting that, you know, I can tell you experience from like my husband, because he's had to be around me and all my friends for years, and he was really scared at first. And there was a lot of comments about being scared and nervous, and you know, that's okay. But something that you need to remember is that there's a lot of special ed teachers here that can help out. So there's going to be plenty of other people besides Lisa and I. There's Megan, there's Amber, there's, who else did I see? Joyce. I mean, there's several special ed teachers that can help you out. So please, if you get too nervous, come and get one of us, because you know what? We are going to have a blast. It's going to be fun. So don't stress about the worry, okay? So no worries. That's done, right? Right. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started. Which I was just kind of talking about, you know, that we may be the only Jesus that some of these people will ever meet. So as we greet them, you know, you can say favorite verses, you know, as we get to talking to them, not when you first greeted them, but as we get going, you can talk about some favorite verses and things like that to get them going, because, you know, this is all about Jesus. So we want to try to incorporate as much as we can throughout the night. The next. So why we train, and like Lisa said, that, you know, this was kind of shocking to us that 90% of these special needs children or students, adults, do not attend, and a lot of them because it's you know, they're overloaded. Their sensory system is overloaded, and they can't handle the loud noises and the big space and people. So this great Jesus Prom is one example that if they do get too stressed, they can go into another room, in which we'll talk later. So we have a lot of different options going on Friday night. The next thing is important about the language. The one thing is that they're a person, and even though that they may be in a wheelchair and they can't talk, you can't stand in front of them and say, you know, well, Larry over here, he can't talk and he can't eat, so we're going to have to feed him. Okay, you have to talk to that person because they're the person, okay? So just remember that like the individual with autism, you know, they may not look at you. They may look at you for a quick second, but just remember that they can hear everything that you say, and so remember that they're a person when you're talking to them. Also, while you're talking to them, one thing I was going to say on spatial, you know, one thing that my husband learned, that, you know, he wanted to get right down. I'm going to use you as an example, okay? He just wanted to get right, well, hi, you know. Well, you know, remember the spatial. I mean, you know, that might be cool for your people that you know, but sometimes the spatial thing is a little bit too close, you know. And remember, you don't have to yell. They're not hard of hearing, and some of us think we have to go, hi, how are you? And, you know, they don't like that. So just talk to them normal, like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, you think I need this? Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, can you hear me now? Sorry. I thought I was yelling now. Okay. So anyway, just remember that, you know, they're just like us. They just have some special needs. They have special abilities. And then, you know, support each other along the way. Okay, so what is a buddy? You know, it's a friend, a role model, a partner, an advocate. Something that we are not. We are not a babysitter. We're not a teacher or a parent. We are going to be a friend. And that's what we're going to do. And they love having friends. The buddy roll, like I said, we're going to share the love of Jesus with each person. I keep wanting to say student. Each person to ensure the safety of everyone. And we're going to be the guide with them on their side. And just a footnote on that, you know, when you approach them, yeah, you want to be in front of them, but a lot of times, you know, just walk by their side. Some of them want to be touched, some don't. You'll get to know real quick their sensory issues, things like that. And also, some of these people, like say the 20 people that I know are coming, when I see their buddy, I'm going to go tell them, hey, they like this or something. So I think that there's going to be enough people here that will kind of tell you a little bit about their background, what they like and what they don't like. You know, some of these autistic kids, if you start talking about trains, ooh, that's all they're going to like. So keep that in mind. We're going to have enough people who will know what their preferred items and preferred subjects are all about, okay? Have them be as independent as possible. And something I'm just talking about, like, say if they're eating, we're not going to feed them, and we'll talk about that later, but just say if they have cranberry sauce going down their mouth. We want to be kind and nice and think, oh, we're going to wipe it. But before you do that, you need to say, oh, you have something on your face, can I wipe it? If they are physically where they can't do it. Ask them first before you do it. That's a nice gesture, but they want to know. And my girlfriend, I learned real quick, I tell her a bit about it. She's 42 years old, but when she was about 25, I wiped her face in a restaurant accidentally by just doing it, and it really made her mad. So I learned the hard way, and I was trying to be nice and kind. So keep that in mind. Make sure you ask them if you want them to wipe their mouth, or you're going to tell them to go ahead and sit down and give them about 10 seconds to sit down. Some of those that have motor impairments, they need to have a little bit of time to do that. To encourage interaction with peers, which we're going to be doing, we're going to focus on the abilities and disabilities. I hardly ever say disabilities. I always say it's the abilities because they've got so many neat abilities. So I always talk about the abilities. Be positive, which we all know we're going to be positive. And especially when we're talking to their parents or caregivers Friday night. And we're never, ever going to let them be by themselves. And I know you guys aren't going to let that happen. So, and if you do see somebody that's a loner and you're having a hard time interacting with them, again, holler at somebody else. If they've got another friend, let them be with their other friend, okay? Just because you're assigned to that one person, old Fred can go visit with Philip and be together, and you can have the two caregivers with the two kids, okay? The traits and attitudes of a buddy, you guys know this, the acceptance, the respect, servant, be a learner, dependability, flexibility, sensitivity. The sensitivity, again, some of these people, some of them have even like to high five, to shake their hand. They may not. So don't feel bad if they don't want to shake your hand and they're not trying to be negative, because they just don't want to do that. That's just something that they don't like to do. So, but most of them like high fives or shakes your hands, but don't feel bad if they don't like to do that. You know, try to make eye contact. If you don't, that's fine. Just go on with the flow and have fun. If some of them don't really talk, which a lot of them will be kind of nervous at first, so you can just say, hey, buddy, I like your shirt. oh man, I like KU, and oh, I like white shoes. That's my favorite. And, you know, just kind of start talking, whatever you can talk about, you know, and start saying and make it happy and bubbly and fun, because that's what it's all about. Confidentiality. Sorry, yeah. And remember, that's very, very, very important. So once we get to know these folks, we don't want to talk about their names, because their confidentiality is very, very important. So even though it's just the coolest thing that we're doing, this is awesome, and we want to share, just don't share their names.
Or their pictures on social media.
Do what?
Their pictures on social media.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's very, very important. And the pictures on social media, that's a big thing. On Facebook, we don't want to do that. So you can take pictures, but don't share it on Facebook. Okay, just some of the considerations. Listen to what the caregivers or the parents about their needs and their abilities, and that's going to be so important because the majority of the people that are going to be there, there's going to be the caregiver or parent. So that will relieve some of the people that are kind of nervous and scared about this. And I guarantee you, once this year, next year, there's going to be not very many people are going to be nervous and scared because this is going to be an eye-opener for you. In fact, you're going to be saying, okay, I'm ready for next year, let's get going. About the general considerations, be firm with limits, the safety, I don't really need to go into details. Limit the choices. Like, instead of, if they're a lot younger, you don't want to give them 3 choices, just give them 2. And then sometimes, just go ahead and, if they can't give you that choice, go into one area. If they don't like it, go into another. Just keep trying. It's trial and error. And again, most of the time you're going to find out from the caregiver, but just the 2 choices at first, and then go on instead of giving them 3 or 4. If, helping them if they get frustrated, give them time. Something that we don't have a lot of is time and patience. When you say, sit down, I expect him to sit down that second. But sometimes it takes them a little bit of time, and we have a 10-second rule kind of thing that we got to get used to. So that's hard for us because we're in a fast-moving world, like on computers, when we push the button, we want it to work right now. We don't. It gets kind of upsetting. So give them a little bit of time. Sit down. Oh, good job. Sit down. So that might be an example, because even like a 5-second, that's a lot of time. We're not used to that. And especially if our moms and dads tell us to sit down, we sit down right now, right? We don't wait 5 seconds. We don't wait 10 seconds. So that's a hard thing for us because that's not something that we learn, and that's not something that's natural. Engage in activities with the peers. Don't talk about the individuals in front of them, which we've already talked about that. And that's something that, even though we don't mean to do it, we tend to do that when, oh, Susie's over here with me, and I'm talking about Larry, and yeah, Larry did a really neat thing. Oh, yeah, Larry's right here. So remember that, because there's going to be some things like that will occur, and just remember that, or just think of that in your mind. Some of the prom activities we're going to be doing is the dinner, the dance, the photos, the makeup, the games, and the quiet room, and we're going to be going into that a little bit later. This is some of Lisa made this up. She's awesome. Anyway, she made up this visual schedule with one of her kids that is autistic. And so we've got some of these that she's made up, so that way the kids know, what's going to happen next, and finished. So they know what order is in. So we do have those printed out. If anybody needs one, we can give those to you tonight. The safety, there's no horseplay, no piggyback rides, nothing like that. We don't want any of that at Jesus Prom. The physically handling, the good and the bad, depends on the individual. Small children, we don't ever want to see you picking up any children that are under 4 or over 4. Always be in plain sight of everyone. We never want to leave them alone. Encourage the children. Don't encourage them to sit on your lap. And side body hugs, high fives, fist bumps, but no frontal hugs. And that's something. I'm used to hugging my little kiddos, and that's hard for me to get that transition through. But don't do that with anybody older. We always just want to think about the little ones, and then once they get from kindergarten, we want to work on the side. Okay, this is just a quick.
Just one question real quick.
Sure.
If they approach and want a front body hug?
I said what?
What if they want a front body hug?
Well, either shake your hand or hand. Yeah, you make the gesture yourself and initiate that. Okay, because that's just kind of this is just the rule that we're setting for this. Okay. This is just a short video.
Dylan was born in 1999.
This is just a short video on a student that a gentleman that's diagnosed with autism, and we just wanted to show you a little bit of his daily routine.
Dylan was born in 1999. It was really a pleasure to finally be a mother, but it was a little bit of a roller coaster. By his second birthday, there was a lot of screaming and crying and frustration that we didn't necessarily understand. We didn't know what was happening. But by 2.5, I think we pretty much knew.
When I first met Dylan, he was that kid that those of us in the field would identify as the most challenged.
One of the challenges is in the area of not having communication, not having a way to know what he's thinking and feeling.
We just fall back on our preconceived notions that if you're not making eye contact with me, you must not be listening to me, you must not understand me.
If you're just going off of what you see on the outside, the assumption is often that, that there's a lack of intelligence. Not being able to speak isn't the same as not having something to say.
Dylan is an individual who types to communicate his thoughts. Basically, Dylan types his thoughts out letter by letter to spell out words and then sentences and paragraphs. When he began typing, he said it was like being freed.
As his mom, it's just the most incredible thing ever to suddenly start to hear your child's voice.
My name is Dylan, and I am autistic. Having autism is like being in hell, and it is a lonely existence. Before I could type, I had no choice but create relationships with my animals. Without a voice, people only see my autism and not the real me. People all need a voice, not only so they be heard, but fully understood and known.
There was one day that we were in a history class, and Dylan was having a hard time, and it was a particularly tough day. He put his face down, and he just burst into tears. And I remember sitting there feeling really helpless. We took a break, and we sat outside, and I told Dylan, I'm so sorry, I'm not sure I'm the right person to help you. And then the bell rang and we moved on to the next class. I opened up the iPad and I asked him a question and he typed the words, appreciate all you give, always. And I thought, there you are. He was basically saying, you're on the right track, Debbie, don't give up.
Hearing Dylan's voice is incredible. It's been life-changing. He's insightful and he's smart and creative. Everyone has to have a voice. And he wants everyone to have one.
So it kind of just gives you an idea of an autism student person, what they go through. One thing I was going to tell you too is if somebody has paralysis or a challenged arm or a leg, always go to the opposite leg when you're helping them. I don't like to say the good arm, but the one that, or say the good arm and don't say the bad arm. Just always go to the good side so that way that you help them walk. That's one thing. And then another is, again, with these autistic students that are coming, people, you see he's kind of ticking, his same movements, repetition movements, not ticking, but repetition movements that he was doing. That's common, but then if you would walk in the dance floor and it got too overstimulated, he might start yelling and screaming, and so that's telling you, okay, let's back off, let's go somewhere else. So that's where we have that opportunity to go to the quiet room. So those kind of movements you're going to see real quick with our students, people, but as we go along, you're going to learn real quick the mannerisms and what we need to do. Okay, on communication, presenter's competence, speak in a normal tone, which I've already talked about that. The choices, I just like to use 2 choices. It's just much easier. So just use 2 choices to start off with. In the behavior, request on individuals to stop. But again, it depends on the type of behavior. You know, he may just be putting his fingers in his mouth, and that might be a normal thing for them. So it's not a really a bad issue or behavior. So kind of get to know that person before you get onto it for something like that. But remove the obstacles if they get them overstimulated, which we talked about that. Go to the quiet room, and Kendall's going to talk about that a little bit. And our responsibility, it's not our job to create timeouts or consequences. If behavior is out of control, get help from one of us. And like I said, not just Lisa and I, Kendall, there's going to be some other special ed teachers here. So please don't hesitate at all. And remember, there's going to be parents and caregivers with the majority of these folks that are coming. In the restroom, do not ever go in the restroom by yourself. Always take someone with you, but there again, majority of them will have a caregiver with them, and they will tell you if they need assistance. But I mean, you go to the bathroom and stop at the door, but most of them will want to go independently, but with their caregiver or their mom or dad. Medical, we will have a nurse on staff. And so, allergies, make sure you guys are aware of each individual if they have any kind of allergies, peanuts, whatever. Seizures, again, you know, with seizures, the main thing, and, you know, I'm not a nurse, but I'm just saying that just make sure that they're safe. You need to move any items that are out of the way and lay them on the side, and make sure you get Rebecca Brake is going to be here for a nurse. And then, okay, great. So in the medical station, you'll talk about that? Okay. And then just some do's and don'ts. We don't want any cell phones to be present, no texting, posting on media, which we already talked about. Some of these I've already talked about. Do not switch friends, stay with the assigned, but there's been a couple of them that like with the buddy, that individual may not do very well with a new surrounding. So if they have one of their friends at school, they can kind of follow that student, okay? Because that will allow them to feel at ease, because they're a little stressed over coming into a new building like that. But you'll still stay with that individual. Keep your name tags on. We've already said don't leave them alone. No holding hands, that kind of thing. Most importantly, we're going to have fun. Love those that come and pray for them. So it's going to be an awesome, awesome time. I just can't wait. All right, Kendall. Thank you, guys.
You said Kendall, but I know you meant.
Oh, I'm sorry, Anna.
So where is that sign-in sheet? Is that still going? Those 3 sign-in sheets still going around? Okay. Can you raise your hand if you haven't signed in? Okay. So just keep them moving.
Oh, okay.
Where's the next 2 sign-in sheets? Because there's 3 all
There
together.
should be 2 more.
Okay. And then where's the 3rd one? Okay, awesome. Just keep it moving. And I have more itineraries. There were some people that said they didn't have any. Do you mind running that back? Did you say there's some back there? Okay. Okay, so just a few more things before we end this. Thank you, Teresa, for talking. So the most important thing we want you to know, this is going to be a fun night. We're kind of telling you worst case scenario, okay? Please get that. I know my mom was talking the last training we had some people that were kind of afraid after they walked out. And we're like, no. We're telling you the worst case scenario just to make sure that you're prepared, okay? I've been a part of 3 Jesus Proms, and nothing like seizures or any of those things even happened. And there was 500 people there. So, and that was 3 years in a row, and none of those things happened. So just wanted to clarify, these are worst case scenarios, okay? so hopefully none of that happens. All right, so let's begin with the beginning of the night, Friday night. We will start at 5:15, so we just need to have every volunteer. That includes the kitchen crew and servers. That's why you're here tonight. That's partly why. And also just so you are on the same page. Be there at 5:15. That's not just for communication with announcements, but it's also spiritually. We all want to be prayed up, and I'll have a Devo, and Nathan will talk, and we just really want to honor God with everything we do in this event. And so we want us all to just be on the same page. We'll get our name tags at that point, and it's just really important that you're there at 5:15. All right, and then Jesus Prom begins at 6. But from 5:45 to 6:20, I will direct all of the buddies to go to the front of the foyer, right where the main entrance is. Do you know that awning I'm talking about outside? We'll have one row lined up, and we're going to be cheering people in on the red carpet. And they're going to feel like celebrities. This is my favorite part of the Jesus Proms I've been a part of in the past. We're cheering them in and pairing them up with their buddy right before they walk in. So it'll kind of be randomized that way, but we'll also have like 3 or 4 special ed teachers helping me decide what buddy would be best with the people that come. And so there will be some randomized, like I said, because we'll just be in a line, but we're also going to have discretion to see, okay, so say, Mandy, you brought Candy, which is awesome. We love that children are going to be at Jesus Prom, but Camry's going to be with Mandy the whole time. And so if a special needs child comes that's Camry's age, we're going to try to match them up accordingly. But again, there might be a huge herd that comes at the same time, so we're just going to kind of do it that way. Again, thank you for sticking with us this first year. We're just figuring it out, so appreciate that. So that's what's going to happen at the beginning. They'll walk in, we're going to football tunnel style, clap, cheer, get really excited as they walk in on the red carpet. And then at 6:30, this is really important for buddies, encourage your participant to move into the auditorium. And my mom, do you want to stand up real quick? Barbara Blacker is going to be the MC, and she and I will just say some announcements and welcome people, and we will let the caregivers and the participants themselves know the order of the night, just to help them understand all that there is and all that's coming up, to be on the same page. We might not do that every year, but for this first year, we thought that'd be helpful. So I just want to take this time to talk about some of the really cool things that we're going to have. So you all know we're going to have the dance floor, which is probably the coolest part. I know Lex is most excited about that, right, Sharon? But we will also have games in the foyer. We'll have cornhole and ring toss and soccer kick and about 5 or so games. So we'll have that in the foyer. And then we also have a quiet room with a movie going. So it won't be completely quiet, but we'll also have another option that doesn't have a movie. That'll be beyond. So that'll be in Joyce's room, Joyce's area, the big area that has what is that called? The hall?
The big area.
The big area, okay. You guys maybe know what I'm talking about. It's when you first walk in, there's a big area. It's not a room, it's just a big area. What did you say? It's a big area, yes. And there's a movie going there, and then in Eddie's room is where we'll have the quiet room, but hopefully we won't have to take advantage of that. That officially quiet room, maybe I should say. And then the nurse's station will be located right at the main entrance. So right when you walk in to the left, right before you would go to Jeff's area. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? That's where the nurse's station will be. And Rebecca Brake will be there, along with Lee Flairman. And we'll also have, hopefully, Josh Davis, the EMT. I don't know if he's here tonight. He will be hanging around the building. So dinner will be served. This is important for the servers. Dinner will be served from 6:35, so right after I'm done talking in the auditorium, until 7:30. And if you're a server, can you raise your hand? I just want to see. Okay. All right, and if you're a server, you need to wear black pants and a bright colored shirt. Doesn't matter if you don't have a bright colored shirt, that's fine. We're just trying to kind of make you all look a little different. We will provide the apron. So that's all you need to know, and show up at 5:15, and Mrs. Chisholm and Terry Bass will help you know what to do. And I'm going to brief you, don't worry. The other thing that the servers need to know is that at the table, buddies need to know this too, we will have the registration card at the table. We figured when they first walk in on the red carpet, it wouldn't be exactly the time to show them a card and say, hey, fill out all this information, or give that to the caregiver. So they will do that when they sit down to eat. The caregiver will help them fill out the registration card. Okay, so just make sure as servers, you know, that's your main responsibility besides food, is to be sure that everyone fills out a card. Okay, and then from 6 to 7:50, which is the majority of the night, our DJ will be playing fun music in the main auditorium. The photo booth in the foyer will be open. Sharon Ward is doing that, which is awesome. Games are also open in the foyer at this time. And the quiet room in the open area of the nursery are for all guests and buddies. So if someone's overstimulated, that's a great area. The movie has no words, so that's another thing that's nice. It's kind of just like a fun moving picture. I can't remember what the name is now, but it's not too stimulating. Then this is something I'm most excited about. I'm looking over at Megan Robin's husband, because this year we're going to have a caregivers lounge. And this is important for servers and buddies to let the caregivers know that there's a place this Friday night where they can receive respite. And this is really important. When we have people call the church, or people say, you know, usually the biggest need in a family of special needs children is the caregiver themselves. And so we want to provide a space where they can relax, and we're going to have snacks in there. And then Megan Robbins, who's a licensed counselor, she'll be in there just hanging out and listening and hopefully giving resources. And I'm just going to pray, and I'm going to ask you all to pray that is a really great resource for those caregivers who are just heavy burdened, heavy laden. They can find rest in Jesus. So I'm really hoping you all encourage the caregivers that are with your buddies. Maybe they need to help you in the food or restroom, but if at all possible, please try to get the caregivers to go to the lounge. Any questions so far? Okay, and are those sign-in sheets still working their way around? I know I'm interesting to listen to, but please, I'm just kidding. Just please keep passing them around. Yes?
Where is the caregivers?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's really a good thing to say. The caregivers lounge is the nursing mom's room. There's a bunch of rocking chairs and stuff in there, and I'm going to transform it a little bit to make it comfortable. In the nursery, sorry. Yes, Joyce's area in the nursery. When you first walk in to the church, in the main place, the preschool check-in, yes. It's right past there. So we'll have signs up that night. Okay, and then something really cool will happen at 7:50. Everything's going to mostly shut down. And at 8 o'clock, Nathan will give a gospel message to all of our guests at Jesus Prom from 8 to 8:15. It'll be pretty short, but I'm really excited about that as well. And then right after he's done, I'll get up and probably say just some closing announcements and thanking people for coming. And then we'll have our, the big chant. They say, one last song, right? So we'll have probably 2 or 3 last songs in the main auditorium. I can already hear it now. See, I had the privilege of being a part of 3 Jesus Proms, and they get wild and awesome, and they don't want to stop dancing. So you guys are going to love that. I just can't wait for you guys to experience that. Okay, so then we'll finish our song. about 8:30 is when we will say goodbye to our friends and group up into 10 to 12 groups. If you see that sign-in sheet going around, on the very last page, we still need about 8 more people to help be debrief group leaders. And this is really simple. All you do is just kind of lead the conversation for 5 to 10 minutes, asking people about their situation. And in my experience with Jesus Prom, people have never experienced something like this before, and there's emotions that happen afterwards. There's some beautiful stories. And so Heather Wimsett, who's my mentor, she's the disabilities coordinator at College Heights Christian Church. She's been coaching me through this whole time, exactly how to do this, and she was who I worked with at College Heights. And she said that this is a beautiful time to just give 5 or 10 minutes to people to really just talk about what the night was like, because you truly will be changed from it. I can guarantee it. All right, so after that is when, from 8:40 to 9:30, is when we would need your lovely selves to help clean up. This is going to be so fun, probably even more fun than the night. I'm just kidding, but we do need your help. And Brooke, I know, is going to help me, and a few other people. We've taken pictures of how everything should look, because not only do we need to take everything down, we need to put all the fall decorations back up. So we have taken pictures of every wall that we've taken down, and we will give groups of people these pictures and say, hey, this is where everything is. Go put it like it looked, and then you can go home. And we won't need everyone's help doing that, but we're going to be figuring that out tomorrow. Do you have a question? Does someone have a question?
Yeah, I've got a question. Right here at 8 o'clock, does the caretaker, do they come in, join in with you when you go in, so we're all together?
We would prefer that, but I'm going to tell Megan to be flexible. If there's a great conversation going, she can stay in there, and we would love that. So, yeah, not necessarily. They can come, or they don't have to come. Anything else? Okay. So yes, clean up 8:40, 9:30. We really do need your help. If you all could stay, that would be wonderful. All right. So last couple things. This year's, go ahead. So that, all right. Let me explain real quick. This year's theme is Jesus Prom. This year's theme of Jesus Prom is 80s theme, and so we encourage you to wear 80s apparel. But if you are not comfortable with that, or if you would just rather not dress in 80s apparel, just wear your wonderfully made shirt, or just come in whatever you would like. Honestly, you can come in whatever you would like. We just think it would be fun if everyone could participate in the theme. I know Kendall's already has like a brown suit. It's just like, it's so weird.
Dan wanted to wear it.
Yeah, he like...
No, Dan wanted to wear it.
Oh, Dan did? That's funny. No, it's funny. I'm glad that he has a character personality. It's funny. So, yes. Yeah, you should have the caregiver eat with the person. That's why we left the time from 7:30, I think, what did it say? Or 6:30 to 7:30. When people come in the door, they're not necessarily going to want to eat right away, especially the participant. You know that. They're going to want to dance or play a game or check out the building first. So that's why we've left it for a whole hour. You can kind of just ask them and just say, all right, if it's like 6:45 or close to 7 and they're still not wanting to go eat, just say, hey, I think we should eat now before they close down or something. But I guess to answer your question, ask the caregiver themselves, what time do you think he would be comfortable eating, or whoever, and then they can also go eat and you can be with them. So,
but you can ask the individual first.
Yeah.
Before you ask the caregiver, ask the individual first, okay?
Yeah. So just be communicating with the caregiver is really what I should say. And they, like I said, they can go off and eat by themselves if they want. And there'll be snacks in there, and yeah. So, okay. So yes, the theme is 80s. So it'd be really great if you could participate in that, but you don't have to. Parents, if you're bringing a child to Jesus Prom, wonderful. We're really excited about that. We want this to be a family event, but they must be with you at all times. So we unfortunately do not have childcare this year, so that's one reason. But also, we would love children to be a part of this and to see God's kingdom work in this way, but we just need them to be with you at all times. So when you're paired up with a buddy, they'll just be your partner with the buddy.
Hey, on that, what age are you considered, like, what age can they actually be a buddy and not have to stay with their parents?
We'll safely say 16 years of age. I do know there's some people that are more mature, but yeah, just this first year we're leaving them at 16. Okay, yes, and just please encourage your guests to use the quiet room, the caregivers lounge. Nurses station will have water bottles. That's probably going to be the biggest concern. It's just that people might be dehydrated, so water. Okay, we're running out of time, so just the one last thing I'd like to mention is we're Jesus to these people, right? We were talking about that. So if your if your participant that comes wants to dance all night, or wants to just watch the movie all night, or wants to just hang out and eat all night, or wants to just do something maybe that you wouldn't prefer to do, remember that you are Jesus to them, and it's not about us, it's about them, and it's about celebrating the people that Jesus celebrates. And so just remember, even if it's not very fun, you are being Jesus to them, and you might be the sweetest thing to the caregiver too, just by being there and letting them have respite. So just remember that. That's our role. And lastly, again, just have fun, because this really is such a wonderful thing. Remember, we were giving you worst case scenario, but I don't imagine any of those things to happen that we had mentioned. We just want you to be prepared.
Just make sure that where those sheets are.
Okay, and just be sure that everyone gets those sign-in sheets. Are they still rolling around? Raise your hand if you haven't. Oh, good. There's only one left. Okay. All right. So, yeah, Mom, can you pray? And then...
Father God, thank you so much for these beautiful faces that we get to look at right here in this room. We're so excited about what we're going to run into, because we know we're going to run into you, because you're going to be the center of the party, because you always are. You make water out of wine. You do all kinds of cool things. And so, God, we can't wait to see what's going to happen. Please overcome our fear. And Lord, just help us to be fearless and show up. Be the honored guest on Friday night. And we just pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all. I love seeing you. Have a good night.